Today, it's time to save the world with a little bit of Japanese nostalgia. The Science Ninja Team are all that stands between the forces of Galactor and world domination. This is Gatchaman, issues 0 and 1.
I'm a geek. I use my bubbles when I speak. I'm a freak because you just see that for me. I'm unique. There is only one of me. I'm complete, so I really don't care what you think of me. I'm a geek.
Hello there, Comic Clan. Welcome to Comics of the Cross, the greatest streamers and YouTubers that you've never heard of. I, of course, am your host for today, Cross, and today we are looking at Gatchaman from Mad Cave Studios, and we'll be looking at issues 0 that was part of their free comic book day release, as well as the brand new number 1. Before I go into today's video, just to let you all know, I am feeling a little bit under the weather. I had a little bit of strep last week, so I apologise if there's any audio issues, my voice cuts out at any point. I have attempted to record this already and it has cut out a few times when I've tried to say things, so I'm attempting to speak louder. I am on the mend, but I apologise if for some reason anything cuts out or anything doesn't sound right. It's honestly probably due to that. So I just wanted to let you all know that beforehand. Thank you all for joining me and sticking around and listening even in the middle of my sickness and not feeling great. As I said, today we are looking at Gatchaman. Gatchaman's written by Cullen Bunn with art from Batista, colours from Lopez and lettering from Beaudoin. Gatchaman is based on the Japanese property The Science Ninja Team Gatchaman, which originally debuted in 1972. The series has seen multiple adaptations. Both series and movies have been created off of it over the years. The show is best known to English-speaking world as Battle of the Planets or G-Force Guardians of Space. But no matter what changes are made, the main concept still appears to have remained in every iteration. 5 bird-themed teenage heroes fight the terrorist organization known as Galactor, using advanced science and technology as well as secret ninja techniques, and an array of vehicles such as the God Phoenix aircraft. The Mad Cave Studio series adapts all of these as well, but let's dive in and see exactly what else it has in store for us. In issue 0, we see the city of a megapolis with people going about their day until a massive machine comes crashing through the ground. And that announcement begins to play from Katse, the head of Galactor. He says how the world trembles and they will shred everything to rubble and ruin. The machine then begins to open up and out comes hundreds, if not thousands, of Galactor soldiers. We are then introduced to the Science Ninja Team themselves as they come in to battle the army that is now invading the city. We meet Ken the Eagle and immediately get the leader vibe off of him, as well as him being a strategist and possibly a little bit of a Boy Scout as well. We kind of get that vibe from him. Next up is Joe the Condor, very aggressive, hot-headed, and can see that immediately he's going to be the very brash and bull-headed one of the group. We're then introduced to June the Swan, who seems to have a little more of a logical head on her shoulders. She is accompanied by Jinpai the Swallow, her little brother, and he absolutely embodies the typical little kid excitement and energy, even in the midst of going into a battle. And then last but not least is Ryu the Owl, the pilot of the God Phoenix and the apparent jokester of the team. It's really interesting that in a short 8 pages in this issue 0, we see the Science Ninja Team in action, and we're able to get a pretty good grasp on their different personalities, how they are different from each other, as well as how each of those differences complement and reflect well on each of the other members of the team. While Galactor's army invades and our heroes come to stop them, I definitely got very much vibes of the final battle from the Avengers movie, where we see our heroes have to strategize against a much larger group of enemies, and in order to win, each of them seeks to do what they do best. Each of them seeks to play to their strength, and each of them has to work together doing something different to help minimize the damage to the city. Ken is looking at how to defend the people and to rescue civilians. Joe begins looking at best ways to take the fight to the Galactor troops. June's concern turns to the spikes of the machine and how they've torn through the road and what other damage they're going to be causing, while Junpei is already trying to collect civilians to take to safety, and Ryu is overhead in the God Phoenix in case it is needed. We see the team get clearance from Dr. Nambu to use the God Phoenix's Firebird technique, and they use this to blast a hole in Galactor's machine and finish it off. The Zero issue story ends with a voice coming from off-panel talking to Dr. Nambu. It says that every time the team embarks on a mission, there's a risk of failure and destruction. Dr. Nambu agrees and says that eventuality is why he's brought this group of 5 together, and as we see the shadowy 5 standing off to the side, that is where the Free Comic Book Day story ends. The new number 1 picks up right where issue 0 left off. We see downtown in the scientific district of a megapolis, and while we're awaiting a group going in for a presentation, a massive creature that looks both mechanical and plant-like falls from the sky and begins attacking. While this attack takes place, we get our first look at the 5 strangers that were in shadow at the end of issue 0, and we're introduced to Beta Team. Mara, Jace, Haruto, Keiko, and Sharo. As Dr. Nambu observes them making their way through a laser grid, we learn that there are also a Gamma and Delta team as well, but both of them have already been neutralized and dispatched. As Beta Team continues to their goal, their path is all of a sudden blocked, and from above them the Science Ninja team drops down on them. We do get to see both the Science Ninja team and Beta Team sparring with each other in one-on-one fights. And although the Beta Team seems to be able to hold their own pretty well in a fight, it's clear from the one-on-ones that they still have a lot to learn and a lot of improving to do. The team leader, Mara, however, seems to be doing pretty well as she faces off with Gatchaman, Eric the Eagle, and seems to be able to keep up with him, even so far as having some playful and possibly flirtatious banter with him as it goes. But Dr. Nambu halts the sparring as reports start to come in of the attack currently taking place. The Science Ninja team heads out to the scientific district to face off with this monster that they refer to as a mechanical sundew. Once on the scene, they find that they cannot use their bird missiles and cannot use their typical attacks on the sundew at the moment, as it's a highly populated area and they risk injuring or even killing innocent people. They attempt to focus on trying to take it away from that area, but none of their efforts seem to help in that situation. The sundew then starts to take debris from the attack and be able to create a crude armor for itself using some of the destroyed buildings, and starts to use some of the downed military vehicles such as tanks as weapons by launching them at the God Phoenix. As the team tries to strategize, we see Galactor's commander talking to Katsei as they reference that the Super Ninja team have done exactly what they were expecting. They've ran into battle without really thinking about what Galactor's plan was. As the God Phoenix attempts to fight the sundew, it becomes entangled in it, and no matter what they do, they can't seem to break free and they appear to be in big trouble. The first issue ends with Dr. Nambu prepping Beta Team as he starts to fear that Galactor's main mission now isn't the destruction of downtown of the city, but rather the destruction of the Science Ninja team themselves. And with no idea what will happen, he wants to be ready in case of the worst. I remember seeing clips or maybe even the odd episode of Gatchaman growing up. From what I've seen, I remember liking it as it was very much a superhero vibe, and I was huge into everything and anything superhero. And it definitely also gave off elements of Power Rangers, which I was a huge fan of as a kid. But I was never really into the series as a whole itself. So coming into this, I don't really recognise it as a nostalgic property for me. But I can definitely see how the nostalgic property is paying homage to what came before for those who did grow up with it. I think Colin Bunn did a great job crafting a story for Gatchaman. It definitely feels like a modern superhero team story, but it's also very aware of its roots. It tries to keep a little bit of that 70s flair that it started off with. And I like that it leans into that 70s nostalgia with the characters using their original names. And rather than shy away from some of the goofiness and campiness of the show, such as the team name itself being Science and Ninja Team and not something sleeker, they choose to embrace it, which I very much appreciate and very much is adhering to the comic itself. The art from Chris Batista also feels like I'm watching that old school anime too. Batista's managed to give us art and designs that look like they could have been lifted straight out of the original animated series, while also making it still feel like a current comic and giving us that modern crisp artwork as well. It allows it to feel like a great modern comic with nostalgic throwbacks and not feel like it's out of touch. This is the perfect campy fun superhero story that I think nostalgic fans will adore and want to pick up, as well as something that new readers will be able to delve into and enjoy as a brand new experience. I think the first issue is worth checking out, and I will definitely be going back to see what they do with the rest of this series. But that's it for me for today. Did you check out Gatchaman #1 for yourself? Were you a fan of the original animated series, either Gatchaman or G-Force? What do you think of the series so far? And in terms of other stuff that we cover here on the channel, what other comic series would you like us to cover? If you liked what you've seen here, then please consider hitting that like button and make sure to subscribe and catch future comic reviews from us here. Take care. And for me, that's all. Remember, it's a good week to be a geek. Peace.